Hello, and welcome to Authors Unwritten. My name is Jewel Newsington, and today I will be interviewing the innovative George Orwell. Hello, Mr. Orwell. Or George, can I call you George?
Oh yes, hello, that should be dandy.
So, George, how was your home life? What was your childhood like?
Well, I was born in India, where I spent the first year of my life. However, I moved to England with my sister Marjorie and my mother. My father was still in India and rarely visited, so I never really knew him until he retired from the service in 1912. That was when I learned how tragically dull he was. Unfortunately, though, I was always sick when I was a kid. I constantly had the flu or bronchitis or some sort of illness.
That is entirely dreadful.
I suppose, but it gave me a lot of time to write.
So if it weren't for your terrible immune system, you might not be sitting here today.
Probably not, no.
Now I know your real name is Eric Arthur Blair. Why don't you tell me about that?
Well, when I was just starting out publishing books, I wrote one called Down and Out in Paris and London. This book gave insight to the lives of the working poor. It was the brutal truth behind how the lower class lived. I didn't want to embarrass my family, and I was afraid that my real name would do that. So I went by the pseudonym of George Orwell, and it just stuck through the years.
So when you married Eileen O'Shaughnessy, did she take Orwell or Blair? Well, let us talk a little more about Eileen.
All right then. We met in 1934, I believe, and right after I published the book The Burmese Days. We married in June of 1936. She was completely supportive of me and my writing, and from time to time she would even help me. I still remember when we were pressed with charges for treason in Spain. I'm just glad we adopted a son together before she passed away. We named him Richard. In 1944, she died the next year.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I don't have too much time left myself, so...
Speaking of which, your first book, 1984, absolutely amazing. I felt as if I really had no control of my life, like the government actually controlled all of it.
Oh, why, thank you. That truly means a lot.
Seriously, I was afraid to think any negative thoughts about Obama.
Who?
It's just so intense.
What is an Obama?
So let's talk more about your book, shall we?
Okay. As you know, I used to write a lot of propaganda. I felt corrupt when I did so. I wrote a book not just on the hearsay about it, but on my real-life experience. It presents my vision of dystopia. It involves 3 totalitarian states that are always in war with each other. Each government keeps careful tabs on each of its citizens. Hitler and Stalin gave me a lot of my inspiration for the book. The point was to satirize how the government needs shouldn't be held above the individual's needs. In the book, any mild form of disloyalty for the government was treated with violence. Big Brother is used to degrade the enemies using propaganda, just as Stalin and Hitler did.
What else from the book did you get from real-life events?
The spies and Youth League were meant to reinvent the Hitler Youth and Little Octoberists.
What exactly were the young supposed to do?
Their intention by the government was to report any kind of disloyalty they observed, whether it was by their peers or their family members.
So how did your role in the Imperial Police Force in India influence 1984?
Being in India gave me a good taste of just how shameful the actions of the British are. I got to see firsthand how the police force acted, and that alone made me want to reveal the truth to the public.
Do you think that had you not been so sick that you would have written 1984?
I do believe that I definitely still would have written it, but I would have taken my time with it and I wouldn't have made it as blunt as I did.
fascinating. Absolutely marvellous.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I do believe that is all the time that we have for today. My name is Joel Newsington, and thank you for joining us on Authors Unwritten. Have a great night, everybody.